Hi guys, welcome to the Craft Beer channel. Today I'm donning my helmet and I'm doing the Cannonball run. Before we get to that, we have a little bit of business to attend to. On the 16th of May, I will be down here at Beer and Burger again, doing Beer School, the second lesson. What happens is for an hour, me and the Brad talk at you and shove beers in your hand. This time specifically on the topics of why we should drink fresh, why we should age some beers, and what happens to beers as we age them and serve them in different packaging. So we've got some ultra fresh IPAs, we've got some 2-year-old Orvals, some Imperial Stouts, and lots of amazing surprises to come. You can book tickets, there's a link down below if you want to come to that. 16th of May, it's a Tuesday. But let's get to what we're all thinking about, which is a single, a double, and a triple IPA. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about Magic Rock's annual release of the Unhuman and Human Cannonballs. Now these beers are IPAs, bigger versions to some extent of their core IPA, Cannonball. It's very, very West Coast, particularly by today's standards. So it's quite piney, quite grapefruity. It's a little bit hazy, but it's now a pretty clear beer, what people consider. Well, no, I take that back. That's quite hazy. And every year, when the hops arrive from America after they've been harvested, dried, and finally get to the UK, Magic Rock make essentially their biggest, boldest, hoppiest IPAs, release it in one batch to celebrate the freshness of hops, which is hugely important. We talk about fresh beer, but we don't talk about the fact that the breweries need to be brewing with as fresh a hop as they can get their hands on. Because as soon as that hop reaches oxygen or a temperature that it doesn't like, i.e. a slightly higher temperature, it starts to degrade, just like a beer does. So Cannonball first. You see it looks like a classic, slightly hazy IPA. There's a little bit of head, fine bubbles, it's nicely made. Yeah, and it's got a grapefruitiness, but lots of pine, lots of resin, and a little bit of kind of grassiness. On the palate it starts very, very sweet and that kind of crystallised pineapple thing that you really want. And then it's got quite a big bitter finish. It's not sort of hitting you around the chops, but it's a solid, clean finish with lots and lots of grassy, pithy hop flavour. Now here's where things get a bit more interesting, because although they are essentially little brother, middle brother, eldest brother, they're not quite that simple. The recipes are slightly different. So with these two big beers this year, and they are big in all ways, they've used cryo hops, which is essentially like a powdered pellet, which gives you much better utilisation of the hop oils, but can make your beer last, your beer's shelf life a little bit lower, or definitely can. So they've used those, and interestingly they've used CTZ, which is an acronym for Columbus, Tomahawk and Zeus, who are biologically the same hop but grown in different parts of the world. So there will be differences between them. Now what's interesting about that is it's quite a dank, not very fruity hop, which for me wouldn't be the hop that I would choose for a big, sticky, what could be quite a sticky beer with a double or a triple IPA. But they've gone for something that can be quite dank. You can get almost like the sort of the curry kind of mango chutney tang, spiciness to it, but also some of the more traditional West Coast stuff. So their double, the Human Cannonball, which is 9.2 compared to 7.2, is this beauty. You can see it's a little bit hazier, a little bit darker I think, more of an orange vibe to it. And again a nice fine head, which is impressive at 9.2%. So that has got lots of spice and loads more resin, it's much stickier. And actually mango chutney is not a bad tasting note there. That's surprisingly light on the palate. It dances, it's quite, the sweetness isn't cloying, the bitterness isn't huge, it's superbly balanced. Loads of spice, loads of resin. And because of that little touch of sweetness that you get from the alcohol, it does have a sort of boiled sweet kind of thing to it, which the hops are really livening up, and it works really, really well. I believe, so there's also some chinook T90 pellets in there as well, which I think's given it a little bit more of that kind of fresher, grapefruity West Coast edge. And so we get to the triple, the unhuman cannonball, which shouldn't be inhuman, can't quite remember. We did a video of this right at the start of the craft beer channel where we interviewed the head brewer of Magic Rock, Stuart. He gave a deliciously awkward interview to us, and tasting notes as intricate as hops, and a buttload of hops. So I'm going to try and dig a little bit deeper. Again, I get loads and loads of spiciness from the CTZ, the Cryo hops. These beers are unbelievably fresh, so there's no chance of it being that sort of marmalade thing you can get from oxidized or older beer. It is spicy and resiny and sticky. It's not dank, there's none of that cannabis vibe or anything like that. It is just pure resin. And I feel like there's going to be a slight alcohol there. So it feels like it's going to be really astringent and it's going to build and really hit on the back of the palate. Really doesn't. It's actually very, very clean, but there is loads of alcohol sweetness to it, which kind of throws the balance off slightly. I think that this beer is going to degrade really quickly. If you've got cans, you need to drink it right away. It's got that nice spiciness, that ever so slight kind of grapefruitiness, but it's all about the CTZ, the spice, the resin, the dankness, and that's going to die off quite quickly. It's also not as balanced as the human. I'm definitely erring. I think of these three beers, the human is by far the best balanced, the best conceived, and the most complex beer. Here the sweetness and the bitterness kind of clash rather than coming together to clean each other up. So our beer school, the second lesson, which is happening at Beer and Burger, based on this book, and we should talk a lot about the freshness of beer and how important that is. These three beers are prime examples of both the power of freshness and the fragility of it, and particularly with the human cannonball, it shows just how much extra flavour and how few off flavours you'll get when you drink really fresh, hoppy beers. If you want to learn more about that, come to our beer school second lesson or buy the book, which has loads of details as to why hops degrade, as to what different flavours you'll get out of it. And if you can't get hold of the book or come to Wilsden on the 16th, then check out at the end of this video, there's our beer school video all about great hops. We made it a long time ago, we've learnt a lot, but it's a fantastic introduction to what has to be the absolute starting point of craft, with Cascade, with fresh American hops. Cheers guys, hopefully someone will come join me and finish these.